is Charles Harris here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Smokin.
All right, sports fans, it's Kneecap Biting with Smokin Jeremy B. I have the sports buffoons with me, and they're going to talk about the AFC West with me. How are you doing, guys? Introduce yourselves.
My name's Tanner.
Mike Settle over here.
This is the JG.
Nice.
So, thank you for letting us on here and talk about some AFC West.
Oh, I love talking football, and I love having other fans on because that makes it fun.
The best thing is I think you picked the perfect group to talk AFC West because I think we're well diverse and the amount of knowledge we have regarding each team. So I think we're going to be ideal for what you're looking for here as far as knowledge needs to be put out there for this season.
Fantastic. Well, that being said, before I get into it, I am currently at 122 subscribers, so please go to YouTube, subscribe, like, and share because I'm on the push for 1,000. Not bad for 5.5 months.
Hey, man, we're a little over 300 now, but like we're pushing for 1,000 too. So we're all here to talk about what we love, which is sports, football, and just keep getting people interested and wanting to hear what we have to say, I guess.
Yeah, and we're going on. It'll be 2 years at the end of the month here. So
fantastic, great job, guys. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the position group rankings. And at QB, where do you guys have each team ranked for your QB? I mean, you can go around the room, each one of you.
I'd probably go Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the one where you fall into a kind of a comparison thing is between Russell Wilson and Derek Carr. Just because I think that at this stage of their careers, they're pretty close. Where maybe 5 years ago, you would have said, oh, easily Russell Wilson, where now he has a lot to prove with the new team. And, a lot of see if he can kind of reel himself back in and bring back some of the things he was doing earlier on his career. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, we're going to go Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert right behind him. I mean, we got Mahomes here, Herbert just slightly under. I'm saying Herbert is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. But then the other two, there's kind of a medium here, and then there's a drop off to these other two here. So, I'm going to go the same order as Tanner.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mahomes, then Herbert, and then Derek Carr. I'm going to put him as a close third, and I'm going to put Russell Wilson way down at the end.
Way down? So close third to the other two?
I think Derek Carr, if you look at last year, he was an MVP candidate before we had the whole John Gruden / Henry Ruggs situations going on. Devontae Adams is back with his boy, and they're both excited about it. I think Derek Carr is going to surprise some people this year.
All right, if you say so. I don't agree with it, but I got you.
What you got, Jeremy?
Well, I am kind of in agreement with the first two. I have it Mahomes and Herbert, and there isn't much difference between the two. A slight drop off to Wilson, and I think Carr's right there with him because if you look at the career completion percentage, touchdown to interception, all of that is very close in the ratings all across the board, including QBR in the last few years for Russell compared to Derek. They're virtually almost the same game manager type of quarterback now because Russ doesn't do the big bomb with zip on it like he used to. It's that floater where he has to hit somebody with separation, which was why he was great with DK Metcalf because that guy got nothing but separation.
Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, as a whole position group between all four teams, I still believe the same order. So even with the backups in place, because Chad Henne owns the Browns, which we all know. So I just feel like Chiefs still have the better backup in the end, even though Chase Daniels is on the Chargers.
And we're going to get into the Browns later because I'm going to do some NFL news at the end of the show. Next up is the running back rooms. Now let's start the opposite direction with you guys. Start with the guy on the other side of the room and work your way back to Tanner.
Yeah, you guys go for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to give a prediction.
All right, running back room. So my first one on my list, I would probably go with actually the Broncos in this situation because I do believe in Javonte Williams to be a really, really good, sustainable, and tough running type of a running back to where I think he could handle like a 300 carry season with ease if you want to give it to him that way. And that might be kind of their path to success. I mean, due to obviously some of the situation with the receivers at the moment for the Broncos. So I got, not to get too far into detail here, but Broncos, number 1 on my list, followed by Kansas City as my number 2, which might surprise some people. And yes, you could say I'm a homer whatsoever, but you guys, you don't realize how big of a fan I was of Ronald Jones before the Chiefs signed him. And that addition to the team, and just the fact they have kind of always that running back by committee approach. And I think that's something that actually works better in their system compared to like what the Raiders are doing with the Josh Jacobs. And Jacobs, to me, took a big step back recently. And so for me, it's like, okay, we saw this guy on this great trajectory, and now I'm seeing him dropped off. I don't really agree.
He had
with
some injuries issues too, which hurt him.
Oh, as far as Jacobs?
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I totally get that. But at the same time, like I don't see him being the workhorse by any means. And surprisingly, guys, I'm going with the last one here of Austin Eckler in the running back group with the Chargers as my last one. This is going to shock you guys. And I think Eckler is a good, fine running back. I just don't see him as your pure runner or guy that you're going to rely on to get stuff done inside the 5. And for me, when I look at the other teams in the division, I think Javonte Williams trumps the rest of what the other 3 teams have going on, just from a pure runner standpoint, because I see him as a guy that can kind of carry that team. So, anyways, that's my thought.
Javonte Williams was the guy that if we didn't have, for the Lions, if we didn't have Jamal Williams, he was the guy I'd have drafted in the late 2nd, early 3rd. I'd have traded up, got him somehow. You know what I'm saying? He was the guy I wanted because he's a bowling ball with friggin' legs.
That's the thing. The leg strength is insane for Williams, and the guy can just break through tackles. You know, if you're going to arm tackle this guy, if you have a safety coming up and you're coming up with your arms flailing around, it ain't going to work. This guy's going to run right through you.
All right. Well, one of my regular commenters come in, Charles McLean. He's out of Tampa, Florida. He says Jacobs in a new offense could be the back he was before last year because, now that they're going to be a new look offense under Josh McDaniels, which is a running back by committee, he won't be having as many snaps.
I understand that. I think that makes sense. And I honestly still think Josh Jacobs has some left to give because what we saw of him the previous year was not at all what we expected.
No.
And what I saw more of was the guy 2 years ago who was averaging like 5 yards a carry. And that's the guy I wanted to see, and we haven't fully seen yet. And I guess I see the point, and I think he's not totally incorrect by any means. I just think it needs to be now placed onto the field and proven to us at this point.
Yeah,
to me,
I get it.
Prove it.
Now, see, for me, position as a whole, right? The whole position.
The whole position group.
I like the 1-2 of the running back for Broncos. So I'm going to go Broncos first because I love the Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams combo. I'll probably go Chargers next just because as a whole, I feel like they're pretty deep and they got some weapons they could use. Isaiah Spiller was a good add-on coming into play. But I think Eckler, Spiller, Kelly, who's been, shown really great times. Larry Roundtree has shown really great, especially with the receiving game. I like that. I'd probably go Chiefs third just because of the depth they have. They're going to lose a few guys that, we might get shocked. There might be a running back here that was on the last couple of years that might get cut for the depth they have. And I'm going to go Raiders last just for the fact that Jacobs and Kenyon Drake both had injuries last year, and you're not exactly sure how they're going to bounce back. And that's what worries me. I love Brandon Bolden coming into play from New England. I love Zamir White getting drafted on and Amir Abdullah as a third, possibly fourth running back in your depth chart. I don't mind at all. I would say if it wasn't for either Jacobs or Drake getting injured last year, they might sneak up to the 2 spot, but I'm keeping them down at the late just because you're uncertain of what you got there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Raiders last as well. I agree with you, Tanner, on that. And I'm gonna put the Chargers number 1. I love Eckler. I love the fact that they brought in Spiller. I will put the Broncos number 2 behind the Chargers, and then Chiefs, Raiders.
Okay.
I myself have it as Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders.
Oh, so we almost agreed then. We were a little off, but we almost agreed.
Yeah, I mean, we all got a different 3 and 4. I mean, everybody around the room, but one person went Chargers first, and I I like what they're doing, but they're not quite there yet, is what I see.
Yeah.
On the upward trend, but Eckler has got to prove he can stay healthy for a season. He always misses 2 or 3 games here and there. It's not a lot, but it is a lot when that's your running back one.
Well, yeah, and they lost Justin Jackson too. So I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with him at the moment. So obviously Eckler's their main man, but we got to see him play a full season. And also, who's going to be the guy in the red zone? Because the Chiefs have that guy, the Broncos have that guy, and the Raiders even have that guy. I just don't see the Chargers having that guy anymore. That when you get inside the 5-yard line, you can rely on to pound it in.
Yeah, that's why I have him where I have him.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All right, wide receiver rooms. Whoever wants to go first this round, go
Mike,
ahead.
Go ahead and start this one.
Wide receiver room. This is going to be so interesting to me because the Chiefs is such a mixed bag at the moment of where you want to rank these guys because it's literally an entirely different room from what we've seen the previous 4 seasons. Obviously now Marquez Valdes-Scantling's a part of the team. Juju Smith-Schuster, the drafting. Obviously our boy out there. We're hoping Sky Moore can produce, and then Mecole Hardman's still a part of the room, but I don't know what his role is going to be with the new look offense on that regard. With that said, I can't sit here and be honest with you guys and say that I think the Chiefs have the best receiving group. Maybe on paper they look somewhat decent, but I haven't seen these guys perform yet. To me,
I see a bunch of 2s and 3s. I don't see a true number 1.
Unless Juju can get back to proper form from 4 or 5 years ago, or
If they were able to keep Tyreek Hill and then add Juju Smith-Schuster, because if you think about it, Juju Smith-Schuster, ever since AB left, has not been Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right. And we're hoping now at this point the Chiefs can fill some kind of a role, distractionary role. Even if Travis Kelce in some way or shape or form is that AB distraction to take guys away from what Juju can do, then that could be the kind of guy to give him some help. Because also you got a better quarterback throwing the ball now too, so that obviously makes a difference.
Well, yeah, that does make a difference, yes.
Anyway,
but
back to your question, though. I got Chargers number 1 because I love the veteran production of what Keenan Allen's always done, and Mike Williams as well. Guy is one of the best contested catch playmaking receivers in the NFL. So I got to go with that route first for the Chargers, in my opinion. Joshua Palmer is actually not too bad as a guy that gets rotationally put in there. And what's crazy about this is that they really have just 2 really, really good receivers. And to me, that's just better than what we are seeing right now with situations like Denver, where we're not sure about Courtland Sutton's future. Jerry Jeudy, even though I really like him a lot, and Tim Patrick is just kind of a guy who every once in a while has a good game. I want to see more out of that team. I want to see Courtland Sutton stay fully healthy as well. I mean, there's issues there. When it comes to the Raiders, though, you got Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow. Now, that's the debate, in my opinion, between the Chargers and Raiders, because does Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, do they beat out Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? That's a tough call because Renfrow has 1 year of full production, of good production. Is that going to happen again?
I want to give you one word. It's going to be history. Who has better history? Is it going to be guys that played with Herbert, or is it going to be guys that one guy played with Carr and one guy that just came from Aaron Rodgers to go to Derek Carr?
Sure, and that's also teammates now,
right,
between the combination of Davante Adams and Derek Carr, so former teammates from back in the day. And then obviously the Chiefs situation, which in this case, I'm going to rank these guys. I know I'm a long talker sometimes, so I'm going number 1, we got Chargers. Number 2, I have the Raiders. Number 3, Chiefs. And number 4, I actually have the Broncos.
Yeah, you've got it the exact same way as me, Mike. I've got the Chargers and Raiders as kind of a 1A and 1B scenario. I give the Chargers just a slight edge just because they've kind of been there a little bit longer with Justin Herbert. But anytime you have Davante Adams on your roster, you're never going to be number 2 or number 3. You're going to be 1A, 1B. So I'll give the Chargers the edge. I've got Chiefs 3rd, Broncos 4th, just because the Broncos receivers, I mean, those guys are getting into some legal issues, and who knows what the fuck they're doing right now.
It's quite interesting. I'm going Chargers. Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos as well, just because the uncertainty of the Broncos wide receiver room. That's
And
like I would go if there was no uncertainty. Judy was healthy. What's his face? Cortland Sutton wasn't looking at a DUI charge and probably a 3 or 4 game suspension, probably in the mix, if not more. I'd probably actually rank the Broncos at 2, and I put Raiders at 3. But because of the whole issue of on the uncertainty, they're dropping last. So.
yeah, and I have the exact same thing you just said. Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos. It's weird not seeing the Chiefs at the top of that list. I'm
Isn't
not
it?
going to lie. I'm not
Very
going to lie.
weird. Now,
And then
so-
you got
Here's the thing: there's a lot of unknown with the Chiefs' current receiving rosters. So it's like, how are these guys going to match into the system now? So even though we're ranking the Chiefs third, and I think amongst most of us here, I mean, depending on how things go, that could be up to 2, probably not 1, but it could be up, at least move up a spot.
yeah, and I have the Chargers 1 for the same reason you do. The familiarity, and there's not a lot of change. The only thing that's going to change is their wide receiver 3 due to who they drafted. Didn't they draft somebody like in the 3rd round, I think it was?
Chargers? I don't see anything.
No, they just got
drafted.
Joshua Palmer
Or
and
they-
then
oh,
Jalen
yeah.
Guyton is coming back. Oh, they did pick up DeAndre Carter from Washington. So
Yes, they did.
that was
Yeah.
their one
DeAndre
receiver.
Carter was a sneaky good pickup. He's a guy that could come in. He's got a little speed. He's not that great with the route running. His hands, it depends on the game. It looks like he's reminding me of what they're saying about Christian Watson. When he was with Trey Lance, he was a dropzilla. And when he had the guy that threw the ball soft, he was great his last year.
Gotcha. I have a
You
question
know,
for
because
you.
that's
As
sure.
a matter of fact, so given all these teams' rosters at receiving position, what if basically any of these teams lose their top receiver? How much does that change everything? Because I think if you drop off a Keenan Allen, if you drop off a Cortland Sutton, drop off Devontae Adams, and the Chiefs drop off a Juju, at that point,
Oh, I
it's
think
such a
they,
mixed
I think
bag.
they all became. I think it becomes 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. There is
I
no
agree.
difference anymore.
Yeah.
If the number 1 guy on any one of those teams go down, they immediately plummet to below all the teams
Yeah, it's hard to predict that. Yeah,
because the number
crazy.
2s are all pretty equal as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. Because Juju, when he's on, he's a great contested catch guy, but he's also a good route runner with speed. So when he's on, he's great. But when he's off, it's horrible. There is no in between with him. Plus, he hasn't played a full season since AB was a part of Pittsburgh, too. That's
we
something
could hope
to
he's
consider.
motivated too to be a Chief.
You would think
Yep.
so on a 1-year deal.
And Charles McLean comes in and says Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs. Facebook user is my friend Joseph Host out of Lansing. He says, "Hi, Smokin' Jeremy. How's it going? It's going fantastic. I'm talking football. I love this stuff." And somebody says Buccaneers. Wrong division.
Wrong team.
Little off.
On the other side of the world from them. But anyways, no, I'm excited for this season period. But that being said, let's get into the O-lines. I'm going to start one off for a change.
Go for it.
Until it's proven otherwise, I have it as Chargers 1, Chiefs 2, Broncos 3, Raiders 4.
So we got Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders. Is that what I heard?
Chargers,
Yep.
Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders.
Okay. All right.
Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos. I agree. Actually fully agree in this one. I love the fact that they have some guys coming back. Corey Linsley is still at center for the Chargers, and they drafted Zion Johnson in the first. So I love the overall buildup of this. And I don't mind their backups horribly. They're able to fill in. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Chiefs line right now, and I'm excited to see what happens at right tackle this year with the fact that who's our guy? Darian Kennard could sneak in there and take that right tackle spot during training camp over Lucas Niane and Andrew Wiley. And that guy is a beast. And I think I agree. I think it will happen.
It will happen.
And you're going to see a whole different line there because I think Orlando will be back. I ain't worried about that. So, but I am going to go Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders.
Gotcha. Well, so guys, you can't call me a full homer because I just picked the Chiefs third in the last round we did. So this one, I'm going adamantly number 1 O-line is the Chiefs in this situation. Not only because of their youth and drive right here, but you got a Orlando Brown who's also improving as a left tackle now in the league. And I think the Chiefs will become actually more run-oriented, surprisingly, even in the Andy Reid offense.
That's kind of weird to say,
with the situation they have unfolding within the new offensive receivers, plus the running backs additions of Ronald Jones, Jerry McKinnon's coming back, and then they want to see what they can get out of Clyde still at the same time, if he's really going to be worth holding on to. But like what Tanner was pointing out, Darian Kennard, I don't think people realize how much of a steal this was in the 5th round for the Chiefs. And same thing with Trey Smith from a year ago from Tennessee in the 6th round. And it happened again. That somehow this guy slipped through the cracks. I don't know if it's something to do with his vaccine opinions or what, but I'll take it. I don't care. Like
a lot of the linemen that fell to the 5th and 6th rounds in the last 2 drafts, it was because they interviewed poorly at the combines and at their pro days. I saw that on a lot of them, and they just didn't answer the football questions right. So they questioned their football IQ.
Gotcha, which is insane because Kennard now he's a 3-year starter, I believe, and played also multiple positions. It's like how does this guy who's got the prototype size, got some physical brute strength, just come in there and 5th round is sitting there? But then you have maybe the best center according to Pro Football Focus on Creed Humphrey in the NFL, as well as Joe Tooney, who can step in at left tackle if he needs to at any moment, and then Orlando Brown at left tackle. I love that lineup that the Chiefs have going on, and they're all young, very, very young guys, which to me always is such a huge factor of what kind of drive and motivation they're going to have. Because you got the from center, right guard, and right tackle, they're all guys in their early 20s that want to prove something to the league. After that, though, I do have the Chargers on my list as the next best team because they did just draft Rashawn Slater not too long ago, and Corey Linsley coming from Green Bay. Zion Johnson was a great pick for right guard. I think this is a really, really good offensive line, and they needed this. They needed this to happen because when you have a guy like Justin Herbert, protect your asset, guys.
I mean, look what happened to
That's what
Phillip
the
Rivers,
Chiefs are
right?
doing. The Chiefs are protecting their asset now, and Herbert needs to be protected.
Corey Linsley, Zion Johnson, and Rashawn Slater is why I had them one.
Right.
I mean,
it's a really good offense.
That right side of the line is so secure for him. It isn't funny. And their left side was already good before they got there. You know what I'm saying? So they actually shored up their line very well, and that's why I like theirs better. It's kind of modeled right after what we have here in Detroit, if you think about it. We had a solid left side of the line, and our right side was abysmal until we drafted Sewell.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep, and hopefully that he's going to be the guy you want to run behind. If you got somebody you want to just run right up his ass, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and then you got T.J. Hawkinson, the extra tackle in the run game.
Yeah, that's absolutely. My other 2 teams in order is I went Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, then Raiders on my list. Just because I like the Broncos, and I don't really like Garrett Bowles because he does have a lot of penalty issues.
Yes.
But he's not bad necessarily at what he does. I just like Dalton Reisner. I like Dalton Reisner as a good left guard. And then Billy Turner, obviously coming around from Green Bay. I like that addition as well. And then go ahead.
I have a question for you guys. Do you know who drafted that Corson Vordell out of North Dakota State?
I do not.
I can find out here.
I do not.
Because that kid was a sleeper pick of mine for the O-line because he was like at the bottom of the draft pool everywhere, and he went like in the 2nd or 3rd round, and I was like, wow, he really went early.
Alex Leather.
It was an undrafted free agent. Eagles added him.
Eagles added him.
He was undrafted. Okay.
Yeah, because I actually I liked what I saw out of a lot of the guys from North Dakota State. I mean, he was a great blocker and everything else, but I saw some similarities to some pros that have high level. Or was it South Dakota State?
I read titles. Hang on. Come on, where are you?
Because I thought he got drafted.
My 4th is the Raiders. I just don't trust Alex Leatherwood.
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that.
I during that draft, I was on a video call with a bunch of guys in one of my Detroit Lions chat groups, and as soon as that name was called, I was like, wow, that's a reach.
Yeah. He went to a great school, obviously, and was well known, big name. But if you really watched him play, it's like, this guy doesn't really have what you want to look for in an NFL prospect. And And it's one of those things that last year he
But he
struggled.
did better than expected.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
Well,
I didn't
he's gotta
expect him to
improve.
do as good as he did, but he still has to improve.
He's got to improve.
And I got a couple one. Charles McClain said on the wide receiver room, the only reason he put Denver at 3 is Wilson.
And I'm assuming he means because Wilson takes a lot of sacks.
Right.
So what he's really saying is he downgrades Wilson because he doesn't have as much pocket presence as some other quarterbacks do.
And Charles McClain says he thinks it was the Patriots that drafted him. I thought they drafted that Cole Strange as a reach early, but it seems like Bill Belichick, whoever is he drafts, no, even if he reaches for somebody, they're great.
I'll tell you right now, Cole Strange is going to be a really good player, and the reason he was taken is because of versatility.
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals took him in the with the 31st pick of the 4th round.
Yep. So third, fourth round.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was slated as the 250th prospect on a lot of big boards. That Corson Vardell. That's why I was like, wow, he went way early.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know where he went.
Jason, do you have a line?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the first thing that he came out with was Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, and Raiders. So we kind of all had a similar thing.
I'm adamant about Chiefs being number 1. And I'm telling you guys right now, Chiefs have a top 5 O-line in this league this season. And it's probably going to be that way for quite a while because
according to PFF, the top 5 was, believe it or not, they put Philly at 1 now.
What?
And they put Philly at 1. 2 was the Bengals because of what they added, and then 3 was Detroit. And I was like, "Wow, Detroit got some love there."
Well, for your hopes, I hope that it works out for you guys as far as that goes. You need something good going.
Well, I hope we can have that O-line stay healthy for a full season because last year we never saw all 5 starters on the field at the same time, and they were still a top 15 O-line.
Yeah, you got to run the ball well. You got to have good coaching, obviously, and good structure within your team for it to work. And don't put too much pressure on those receivers because those are still young guys that have a long ways to go in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, Shark has to prove he can stay healthy. Reynolds was a nice addition for us there. I love the Jamison Williams pick, even though we probably won't see him till week 4 or 5 because he'll start out on the PUP list. And even if he's fully healthy by week 1, I would rather him be on the PUP list and get even healthier.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to what you have to say down the road about your Lions predictions here as we get closer to the season.
I've said it all along. I see the window of wins between 6 and 9.
Okay.
I'm trying not to go too homer and say they're going to win the division or anything like that because until we prove it, it's the Packers division owned.
I will say I like them. I think better than the Bears. I'll put that.
Yeah, I have them battling at that 6 to 9 wins because I only got the Vikings at 7 to 10. They're battling for second place with the Vikings.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
And Charles McClain hops in and says, I got the Lions in at 2nd at 9 and 8. And Facebook user, I'm assuming this is either my niece Hope or my nephew Jeff, says, hi, Uncle Jeremy.
Random Facebook user. All right.
I love those.
Gotta love it.
D-lines. Gosh, I wanted to do more research into the D-lines, but I kind of have to go Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos. And it's hard to say. It's kind of like 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B for me. Because I don't know. There isn't a lot of separation between them. Oh, it's Bryson Burnside. Thank you, Charles. That's my landlord's kid. He calls me Uncle Jeremy. But that being said, for the D-lines, I got Chargers Chiefs in that 1A, 1B, and then I got Broncos Raiders as the 2A, 2B because I don't want to annihilate anybody because I don't see a lot of separation between the 1A, 1B and the 2A, 2B because there's a lot of talent on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I just don't see a lot. I would probably go Chiefs as 1A, Chargers 1B, and then head back to probably Broncos as 1C, and then the Raiders are there. So, but I mean, it's hard. It's a hard one because I do actually don't mind the Raiders defense at all, and
And
they
Max Crosby was a gem for him.
Max Crosby turned out to be phenomenal. They got Neil Farrell Jr. as a nose tackle in the 4th, and they went defensive end in the 5th. So like they're boosting over some rookies there, and that they could have an impact as well. And Farrell's still there in the edge. Like I don't know, man. All right. Here's my official one. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna go Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to treat this kind of question as more of a depending on the scheme that they run kind of a thing. Because if you're going to go just based on scheme, because obviously we have 3-4-4-3s, I'm going to have to easily go for the Chargers in this case because you got a combination of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack over there. And I understand technically both of these guys are listed as linebackers on the roster, but that's because they are part of that system, right? So for me, these guys are on the field, on the edge every time, as well as the interior of Jerry Tilley as well. I think that the Chargers, by far, this defense, man, is going to be scary this year. A defense who last year was 29th in points per game allowed is this year probably going to be probably top 8 in points allowed. So just watch out for that. So I got Chargers number 1. Number 2 on my list, roll on over to the Raiders. Keep in mind, guys, another edge guy. They added Chandler Jones to the roster from the Cardinals, even though he's getting older. Add him in there with Max Crosby. You got Vernon Butler, Jonathan Hankins. You got quite a combination of talent right there. And then my third on my list would be the Chiefs. I'm still not happy with the Chiefs' current defensive line situation. They're working with a D-line of still Frank Clark, which I cannot stand.
I forgot he's still there. I thought they got rid of him.
No, I wish. Chris Jones, obviously the interior. They drafted George Karlaftis, which I'm not even a big fan of right now.
You should be. Karlaftis is actually very good. Karlaftis is very good. He was one of the few against all the big teams that managed to get sacks. So in the Big Ten.
Okay. I hear that, and I want to see more.
Because I know,
I want to see more.
But I'm just saying, when you're talking about the top of the Big Ten for O-lines, you're talking about Iowa, Ohio State, and Michigan, and those were the best O-lines overall. And he got sacks in all of those games.
Okay. I hope to be. That's the one guy on this draft class the Chiefs got that I'm proven wrong about because
as a D-end, he has great hand pop. And I'm huge on the hand pop when you're going into the line because if you can't pop a guy back, you can't get past him.
I think he had a better season like 2 years ago than he did this recent one. But
yeah, I mean, he started the season out injured because he got hurt in the spring training game.
I would just like to see what he becomes, and I just hope that my thoughts on him are wrong because there was other guys on the board at the time that I really wanted a lot more. And it is what it is at this point.
One of my regulars popped in and said, "What's smoking, Jay? What's going on? We're talking AFC West."
AFC West. Yeah, so what do I have left? I guess Broncos. I'm not a big fan of the Broncos. Von Miller's gone, obviously. Bradley Chubb is a really, really good, edge type of a player when he needs to be. And the addition of Randy Gregory is just kind of idiotic, in my opinion. I don't really see any kind of production for him. He's 30 years old, you guys. He has 16 and a half sacks for his career. Like, how are we supposed to be interested or pumped by that?
But didn't he have a good year last year?
Not necessarily.
I mean, he was more productive last year than he was last.
Are we going to get excited about 6 sacks, Tanner?
Hey, it depends what defense you're looking at.
No,
and what team you're
on. That's his career high.
That's all I'm saying.
By the way,
it's also the only time in his career he played a full season and didn't get a suspension.
So you also mentioned another. That's the thing. So, in my opinion, the Randy Gregory thing is just silly. I can't look at this guy and go, "Oh, he's worth a bunch of money," because he had 6 sacks last year for the first time in his career. To actually play a season and not have injury troubles or whatever else, I don't like their D line whatsoever. I think they got a bunch of 49ers cast-offs on that D line, and I'm not impressed by it. I think that's bottom barrel D line, like probably bottom 10, I would say, in the league.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Mike on this one. I've got the Chargers 1, Raiders 2, and then I don't really know what to expect from the Chiefs this year, so I've kind of got the Chiefs and the Broncos as kind of my like 3A and 3B because I don't know what to expect from either one of those teams.
Okay, that's fair. Linebacker rooms. You guys take the floor. Whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you do this one.
Linebacker room. So obviously we covered some of the edge guys. We're going to take them out of the mix on this whole thing. So for the Chiefs, I am a big fan of what the Chiefs have working the linebacker room because they got Willie Gay, who's still young up and comer. Nick Bolton had a phenomenal season last year, and I think it ended up leading all rookies in tackles, and I think he led the team in tackles as well. So I like both those guys. Willie Gay just needs to stay on the field more, and I also liked the addition of Leo Chenal quite a bit too. And there was also some addition by subtraction. What I mean by that is Anthony Hitchens is now gone from the team, who was actually a hindrance to this defense. So for me, the Chiefs defense or the Chiefs linebacking group got better alone just by removing Hitchens from the team, even though he would throw a fit about that statement. The fact is, he was more of a liability than anything else. So with that said, I will go with the Chiefs. Actually, it's my number one linebacking group on that inside linebacker type of a deal. Next up for me would be the Raiders. I like Denzel Perryman quite a bit. So big fan of him. And Jayon Brown is also a good player. So I like those guys. Those guys can make an impact on a team. And then my number 3 would be the Chargers. I like the youth right there. They have Kenneth Murray Jr. If you guys remember when he came out, super supreme athlete. I mean, you got the height, weight, speed combination right there. It's a matter of just getting it all dialed in and making him a really good player. And here he is starting on this team along with Drew Tranquill. So I do like both of those guys. And I guess my last would also, once again, be the worst front 7 in the AFC West of the Denver Broncos.
Somewhat similar for me. I'm actually going to go Raiders 1, just for the fact that they got a little bit more depth there, especially Kenny Young coming from Denver, who did play with the Rams for a bit. I like him inside. I'll go Chargers 2, Drew Tranquill. Of course, just like Mike said there, Kenneth Murray. I like Ahmed and Troy Reader, who came from the Rams as well. I feel like they got a little bit more depth in there. KC, outside of Chenal, Willie Gay, and Nick Bolton, I don't like anything else there. I don't like Darius Harris. I don't like Jermaine Carter. I don't like Elijah Lee.
Tanner, you not realize Jermaine Carter was a starter for the Panthers?
Yeah, congratulations. I don't want it. I don't like any of these 3 for the Chiefs as a depth round.
Leo Chenal will be a starter for this team.
I said outside Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, and Nick Bolton. Outside of those 3, when you got to get in the weeds here, Jermaine Carter could be a fit, but outside of that, Darius Harris, Elijah Lee, I don't like any of the rookies that we signed either. So I'm going to go Chiefs at 3 and Broncos as continuing to be the bottom of the defense league, which is weird because we're all talking Broncos as the height for Russell Wilson to be on the defense.
What's funny about this?
And it's not.
We can talk about this later if you want, but here's the thing. What's funny, the Broncos are all talked about like, oh, they're going to get better this year. Okay, but your defense dropped off drastically. And so that's going to be a big problem. You might score 30, but you're also going to give up 35.
It's like Russell Wilson back at Seattle.
What's up, Killicook? He just said JB with a bunch of exclamation points. I had to give him a holler.
He was pumped.
Jason, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you had the Chiefs there at number 3. I'm gonna go Raiders, then Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos.
That's fair. I like it. What do you got, Jeremy?
I'm kind of right there with him. Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos. I love what the Raiders have at the linebacker core. I love Leo Chenal for the Chiefs. Leo Chenal was a guy I wanted. If you couldn't get Troy Anderson, grabbed Leo Chenal, and we didn't get either one because of where we picked.
Yeah, Leo's an animal. I mean, he's the prototype of like athleticism meets ferocity meets just like the 6'2", 250. Like the guy's just rocked up. I mean, if he hasn't done steroids, then I don't know.
He's ready to fuck somebody up.
I mean, he looks ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie.
And the sneaky good pick that I like as a sleeper for our linebacker room here in Detroit was that Malcolm Rodriguez out of Oklahoma State. Oh. He's a guy just like Leo Chenal. 5'11" and 230, a converted safety because he got so big they had to play him at linebacker.
Sometimes that's great because they still maintain this speed
and he did
some of the instincts while getting bigger, and that's what you want to find in a player like that.
Right. But yeah, I agree with that last assessment on the linebacker rooms. I love the guys at the top, and I'm kind of like where we at with the other 2.
Yep. Kind of where we're at.
Okay. Defensive backs. And this is corners and safeties combined.
Okay. corners and safeties combined.
This one's pretty easy for me, Tanner, and I'm just gonna kind of like explain to you how much of an improved secondary has
You're gonna go
happened.
Chiefs on me?
No. I'm not doing that, guys. No, not even close, actually.
Okay, good.
Number one is easily the LA Chargers.
Okay,
and
good.
it's not even a
Good.
debate. Like, we're looking at J.C. Jackson edition. Derwin James is still on the roster, obviously. Nasir Adderley has been a part of the team now for, I think, 4 years, it feels like. I might be off by a year. And then you got Asante Samuel Jr., once again getting another year in the system to where he's going to end up probably becoming maybe not as good as his dad was, but I mean, I would say he's going to, because of a situation like this, just have that ability to propel himself to become a great defender.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bryce Callahan from Denver, which was honestly, in my opinion, one of their best corners that they've had in quite a while. JT Woods was a draft pick as well. Another great one to add on to that roster. The Chargers loaded up on the secondary because I think they saw this team as like, all right, we shit the bed on defense, and that's why we didn't go anywhere. And that's why this offseason they've taken that now to heart, and they're loading up on secondary, got the Khalil Mack trade, and here we are sitting here now just gushing over the amount of talent that's on that team. My next up on my list, so I go Chargers. After that, I will go right on over to not Denver. I'm going to the Raiders, actually, believe it or not. And this would be my one time to give Denver credit because their front seven sucks. But their back four is not so bad. Kareem Jackson's fine.
So
Justin
wait, you
Simmons.
saying Raiders or Broncos?
I'm sorry.
Because you're really bouncing around.
I was bouncing around. I go Chargers, then Raiders, then Broncos.
Okay.
Chiefs are at my bottom of the list right here on this situation. So anyways, what I meant to say was Raiders. A lot of words here. I like Nate Hobbs. I like Rocky Sen quite a bit. That's a guy that's still young, probably 25 years old now. Jonathan Abrams still has a long ways to go, but still a good player that can make things happen. Trayvon Mullen, I like him enough to where I think that's decent enough of a secondary. Back to Denver. I think Kareem Jackson is fine. Justin Simmons is really, really good. Ronald Darby was better probably 8 years ago. Patrick Surtain is probably their one claim to fame on that secondary. And then for the Chiefs, there's a lot to prove because I think that all these guys have a lot of talent. I think L'Jarius Sneed is a really, really good, maybe underrated type of corner. Trent McDuffie, I don't believe in him necessarily yet. I think there was better guys on the board. Rashad Fenton is also an underrated corner. Justin Reed, though, I like that addition, and Juan Thornhill thinks he can be a Pro Bowl caliber safety. So it's a lot of hopes and wishes. What I care about is results. So that's why I have the Chiefs at the bottom of my list.
I was surprised they didn't go Andrew Booth instead of McDuffie.
I would have taken Andrew Booth on that one too, for sure. I liked Booth quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, but I like Booth too, but now I don't like him because he's in the north against us.
That's how it goes.
That would do it. Yeah, I understand. Let's see. Here. Going similar with Mike in a way. Chargers for sure won. You just can't beat that secondary right now in this division. I'll probably. Yep. Nope. I'm probably gonna go Broncos too on this one. I like Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson there, Pat Surtain. I feel like maybe they had a little bit better starters than the Raiders. I think it's almost like a 2A, 2B deal with them. Rocky Sin, he had a pretty decent year last year, but he had a lot of up and downs with Indy. So I'm not too fabulous, but I did like the Darius Phillips pickup from Cincy for them. And then I'm gonna go Chiefs last just for the fact that you lost Tyron. Do we classify Daniel Sorensen as a loss?
No, that's an improvement because
addition by subtraction.
That's the same thing as
Yes.
because Brian Cook is now on the roster because Sorensen's gone, and Brian Cook's much better of a player than Daniel Sorensen.
Oh, big time. So you got L'Jarius Sneed. Yeah, your starters. I like the starters. I'm okay with Trent McDuffie, actually. I am okay with that pick. My issue comes when you go deeper into DeAndre Baker, unknown. The guy's been injured his first time here.
Tanner, I think we know by now about DeAndre Baker.
He's still unknown, dude.
That experiment is done. It's over.
wasn't
He's
even
not
active.
playing in the NFL. He's going to go to the USFL.
Kind of like
It's
me
done.
and what I say about Will Harris in Detroit.
Yeah. No, some of these experiments have gone on for too long, and Baker's one of them. DeAndre Baker is a bust, and he's over with, in my opinion. He's done.
Okay, what about Lonnie Johnson? You think he's going to do
Still
something?
chance to. Here's the thing: Lonnie Johnson still has a chance because he was a starter, obviously, with the
Correct.
Texans. Here's the thing: he's a big enough of a bodied guy. Get him motivated enough. He's not had a significant injury history like DeAndre Baker's had, and that's where a lot of these guys who need to be phased out come from, is significant injuries. Lonnie Johnson, even though he's had a rough time in his past with a really crappy team, doesn't mean he can't go to Kansas City and become a better player, because now you're going to have supreme coaching and a supreme team and a supreme defense around you compared to what you had with Houston the last 2 years.
Yeah, so my guy who's going to sneak into the secondary here by the end of training camp is going to be Jalen Watson. I just think the rookie there, I actually liked him when I was looking up the Houston draft for Let's Talk Sports, and he's just a guy I've circled, and I'm so happy the Chiefs got him. So I think he can be an impact, but we'll have to see come training camp on that. So, but yeah, I'm going Chiefs last in the secondary.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I was surprised the Chiefs didn't re-sign Steven Nelson last season, because he was by far their best corner at the time.
We don't want him.
You mean like Steven Nelson? You mean like
the Pittsburgh
4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, first of all, I want to say this: he thinks Kansas City's a racist town, so he will never play here again anyway. He's already outwardly.
See, I didn't know all that.
And talked a lot of trash on the Chiefs itself. Meanwhile, he actually just flat out sucked his last season, and he doesn't want to admit that. He's had good experiences in Kansas City as a player his first 2 years, but the truth is that last year as a Chief, the guy was pretty awful. And so he's bitter about all that, and therefore reverts to calling fans names that are probably not appropriate.
And Facebook user comes in and says, "What's up, guys? Just talking some football." Now we're up to the fun part: window of wins.
Ooh.
Window of wins. Okay, this is fun.
I like the 3 to 4 window of wins, because, like I said, I see your division beating up on each other a lot. Mm-hmm. It's going to be who has the better record outside, because I almost see everybody going 1-1 with each other in the division. I think you guys, whoever's at home will win, and whoever's away will lose. Just because of the fans and how they get into the games, those stadiums are actually very fan friendly with your teams.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of LA, because they're still dealing with the whole move from San Diego, but they play well at home.
Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. Window of wins for each team. This is a hard one too. Yeah, just because of what you said there. You know what? I'm going to go Chargers, a window of 9 to 11. I'm going to go Raiders, a window of 7 to 10. Chiefs, 9 to 11. And the Broncos, I would still say 8 to 10.
All right. I actually wrote down exact numbers, but I'm not going to say that. We're looking at windows of wins. I'm going to follow the rules of the game, damn it. All right. So, with that said, I think I will start from bottom to top on this. My bottom is the Broncos, as a matter of fact. So my window of wins would be between 7 to 10 wins for the Broncos. And like the reason I say that, though, is just because of, even though people are expecting the Broncos, who won 7 games last year, to suddenly make this drastic improvement and be good because they got Russell Wilson, doesn't make much of a difference to me, because with that said, they have the number 3 defense in points allowed, and now you have a full front 7 full of, in my opinion, bums. And I guess we'll hope Randy Gregory works out as the replacement for Von Miller, a 30-year-old Randy Gregory, who already said has 16.5 sacks. In my opinion, any overinflated head fan of Denver just has to get over that at this point and assume they're going to take 2 more losses to the Chiefs once again this year, and since they haven't won since 2015. So let's keep that in mind. The streak will continue, and I'm going to give you at the most. I think the average range should probably be around 9 wins for Denver, mainly because of Javonte Williams, though, would make the most sense to me. And, every once in a while, teams are going to fear Javonte Williams, which is going to allow Russell Wilson to toss 300 yards freely, like it's a Make-A-Wish event for Russell, because otherwise it's a very stoppable team. So we'll see how much he enjoys. Now, let's ride since that's all Russell wants to talk about anymore. After that, Raiders right up there too. So their window wins for me is going to be between 8 and 11, as a matter of fact. So I give the Raiders a little more hope in this. They are a tough team to gauge, and they just have a somewhat talented roster, especially with the addition of Devontae Adams. But um, like I said, they added Chandler Jones. They lose me on the back end, though, with that secondary, and they're just bad on paper. They could prove me wrong on that. And it's just bad enough to lose your ass some games in the last couple minutes. Kind of a roster, in my opinion, on that secondary. It's like a guy who went all night out macking on an 8 and then got only too drunk to remember getting your number, and so they went home empty-handed. And so that's going to be the Raiders' season in a nutshell. You lose. Good day, sir.
Oh man,
That'll be the Raiders for you guys. So with that said, I got the Chargers now at between I'm going to give them 11 wins up to even 14 wins. I think the Chargers are in that range of capable to be elite this year. And when I say that, I mean they have potential to finally overthrow the Chiefs for the AFC West. And everyone says it every year. Every year you read the newspapers, you read the articles and magazines. Everyone's going, "Oh, this is the Chargers' year." I've been hearing that for the last 10 goddamn years. And it never happens. It never happened when Peyton Manning was with the Broncos. It hasn't happened with Alex Smith as a Chief. It doesn't happen, with Patrick Mahomes obviously now as a Chief, and it's annoying. But this is finally the one year where I'm like, all right, they have all the pieces to make this happen. So the Chargers, to me, are going to be one of the most fun teams to watch in the entire league because of that talent on both sides of the ball. Should be top 10 in both offense and defense, which is what you do when you're a Super Bowl contender. For the Chiefs, for me, I have to stick between 11 and 13 wins because this is what they've done traditionally. Since the Chiefs have gotten Andy Reid, they've been above 500 every single season throughout that time period, and it's going to continue to happen. Even despite some of the changes that have happened on offense, he's creative enough of a mind and also just good enough of a coach to make sure this is not a failing team. It never will be under him. And is it good enough to compete with the Chargers and beat the Chargers? Once, yeah. It'll be 1-1 on that, like it was last year, and I think the year before even. But I don't know if I can pick a division winner. Not that you asked that. But
nope, I wasn't going to go there either because, like I said, my window of wins is I was looking at it, and I almost got it 9-13 for 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders, and then 7-10 for the Broncos.
I guess the one difference for me is that the team that has the most upside in this division, I already said it, I gave the Chargers 14 potential wins where I gave the Chiefs 13. So for me, the Chargers actually have more upside in this division on the window of wins.
And I see that upside, but the other thing is you guys travel a lot, because this is the year where the NFC has the more home games. So you guys are traveling the one extra game this year.
Okay. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? And that it does, but it doesn't because of the whole 3 time zone thing. That is a thing. If you look, the win percentage drops drastically for anybody that goes in from the west to the east, whether it's mountain to eastern or Pacific to central and so on and so forth. That 3 time zones crossing, if for some reason the win percentage drops to under 30%. For any team. And that's the same for East teams going west.
That should make you think about this then, because considering the Chiefs are in the central time zone and they actually have the best road record of all teams for the past 7 years straight now in the entire NFL. So the teams that are most affected by that would be the West Coast teams of the Chargers, Broncos, and the Raiders.
Right.
So that would be the teams that would be most effective, whereas like the Chiefs as a road team, under Andy Reid, we've been the best in the entire league, and because we're in the middle of the map. You know what I mean? Like the time zone difference doesn't make that much of a big deal to us.
Yeah. Right. That's one of the reasons why I have it kind of the same. I think because of that, the Chargers and the Raiders will lose more games away, but win more at home. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Whereas some of them that don't travel as far to come to you might have a chance to surprise you at home, but I don't know why. It's just something that I've looked into, and I was like, huh. And do you know who are the 2 least traveled teams in the league this year?
Who's that?
Pittsburgh and Detroit.
Really?
Works in your favor on that one there.
Yes, that's and I bring that up for a reason. We play the AFC East and the NFC East, and we're in the Eastern time zone.
Gotcha.
That's true.
So you stay in the same time zone the entire time then?
For almost the entire time, except for when we play the Broncos, and I think we travel a little bit for like Green Bay and Minnesota because that's one time zone.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure with the Lions that they can probably adjust to that pretty easily. I mean, it's not that far away.
And
just
also, as far as days of rest, the in between games, because of no primetime games given to the Lions, which I didn't expect that with a 3-13-1 record.
Right.
They have the second most days of rest in the whole NFL between games.
Wow.
I mean, I think those kind of things absolutely help. So I mean, and not to be mean or anything about this, but I hope that finally that if anything can get you guys back on track to win games, I hope those are some things that can get things propelled to go.
It's one of the reasons why I gave that 6 to 9 win window. We got the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL. The only teams with an easier schedule are the NFC East teams, all 4 of them, because they play each other twice.
So he's got a nice schedule. Doesn't have to go away.
Improved receiving corps. That's for
nice
damn
receiving corps.
One of the best O lines.
6'9"
and most improved defensive line. Yeah, I mean, PFF ranked this as the most competitive defensive line from top to bottom as far as competition, not as far as ranked D line. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yep.
As far as competition for a spot, they were the number 1 PFF rank for competition at D line spot.
At the end of the day, it comes down to coaching to me. Dan Campbell has to be the guy to make the things happen, you know?
Yep. And
if he can do a great job as a coach, which I don't mind the guy, I think Campbell fully intends to be committed to this team. Do you have? And I want to see him succeed because he seems to have the right mentality. So I'm hoping it works out for you guys.
MCDC, I think I'll succeed there. I like MCDC there.
But I think the Broncos come to Detroit this year because of the extra home game. So that's something.
I like an upset from you guys. I'd appreciate that as a Chiefs fan.
Yep.
Pound those donkeys in the dirt.
I don't think it would be much of an upset because I have them at the same talent level overall. We still have questions at middle linebacker and safety. I mean, both rooms got better, but they're a question mark in my opinion because the talent level isn't as deep as I would like it to be.
Gotcha.
That's fair.
Well, Jason.
I mean, our edge room looks great. I mean, Charles Harris, Romeo Aquara is coming back from his injury. Julian Aquara, Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Pascal. I mean, that's a pretty deep edge room.
I like Josh Pascal quite a bit. That's a good one.
I love that pick. After I did a deep dive into him.
Like that.
Yep. They sucked that John Pennicini had to retire after 2 years in the league. I understand why. Did you hear why he retired?
What's the reason?
He had softball-sized calcium deposits from an injury he got his rookie year while playing under Patricia. And those calcium deposits grew to the size of a softball on each one of his shoulder blades. And when it was removed, he couldn't recover properly.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
Jeez.
And it sucks because I remember what Bradley and I said about him, and it was true. He's a film room rat. What he did was kind of like a coach on the field for Utah when he was there, and he started doing it with Detroit. He would go into the film room and look at O-lineman tendencies, take notes, and share them with his teammates on what moves beat certain linemen.
That's interesting there.
So I think he probably would have a future in coaching for D-line.
Hey,
that's a good point. A lot of those guys that end
back.
up having like early career issues or injuries or surgeries end up getting into coaching because like they still want to be around the game. And, you know, Tanner's brother is a good example of it too. And now he's a hitting coach in the MLB.
Yep.
So that's pretty badass kind of thing, you know. But, you know, even though some things like don't work out the right way the first time, doesn't mean you don't have another chance to keep it going some different way.
Yeah, and that was a sneaky good pickup by Campbell last year for the D-line coach. We picked up Todd Wash from the Jaguars, which turned them into Saxonville when they were a playoff contender.
That's right. He was part of that. Oh, man. Well, JG, what's your window? I didn't hear your.
All right,
windows yet.
back to the AFC West here. I've got the Chiefs window between 10 and 13. I think
Okay.
a lot of people are underestimating them. I think a lot of people are out there saying, well, the wide receivers are going to suck. So I think they're going to come out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and that's my window, 10 to 13. Raiders and Chargers are kind of the same for me. I've got them between 8 and 12. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Raiders get 12 wins now that they've added Davante Adams. Broncos, I think the consensus here is that they're going to suck ass. So my window for them would be between 7 and 9.
There we go. We're pretty similar. I just have the Chargers a lot higher as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that's fair for sure.
Right.
I think we are all pretty much on the same page. It's just I don't see a lot of separation between the top 3 teams because of where they play, when they play, and everything else. I see them losing more on the road than winning because of all the travel time with the ones on the west side.
Gotcha.
That's what gives the Chiefs the edge. That's what gives the Chiefs the edge is the scheduling.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, especially comparatively to the Chargers, which I have as the 1A, 1B in this division. Is that if the Chiefs have any sort of edge, it is probably due to travel distance and travel time kind of deal. Because otherwise, if you take that out of the equation, put the Chargers, in St. Louis, for instance, then I probably pick the Chargers overall just to win the division because that's just a
right.
good team.
If they weren't all the way over there in LA, because they got the furthest travel of any of them, I would have easily gave them your window of wins.
Yeah.
But because of the travel time, I reduced it a little on my end.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, that being said, I got to do the little pay the bills thing here. I got to give a shout out to my sponsors. A1 Tire and Auto Repair, 3 locations to serve you in the Tri-City areas here in Michigan. 2 of them are in the Bay City area, one in Caucaulin Township and the other one on Broadway in Bay City. The other one is in Saginaw on Genesee Street. Great used tires and also have great prices on new tires as well. And then we got Mad Lab Custom Creations. If you have signed memorabilia and you want something custom painted on a mini helmet of any sort, this guy is the guy to see. His name is Dan Leonard. Look him up on Facebook.
Nice. I like that logo right there going on for those guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, he did that one himself. That was pretty cool.
That's nice.
That being said, now we're going to get into a little NFL news. Well, first of all, do you guys all follow the Chiefs mostly, or do you follow everybody?
Well, everybody.
Yeah, we're a little bit of everybody.
everybody.
So our Wednesday show's kind of, in a way, like we'll talk Chiefs, but we'll also talk a lot of national too. So we're a little bit all over the place.
So how are you guys as far as the state of the Chiefs? Where are you at? As far as I'm concerned, it's the Chiefs division until they lose.
Agreed. It's Chiefs favored. Chiefs should be favored until something happens.
Yeah, the state of the Chiefs is that we're still the kings of the castle in this situation, and I shouldn't have said castle because that's a bad name in Chiefs history. But
Eric
Castle,
Castle.
We're still the kings of this whole division right now, and the state of the Chiefs is going well. And even though some are probably disappointed by the departure of Tyreek Hill, it's going to actually make guys like Mahomes a better all-around quarterback because we're no longer relying on, you have Tyreek and Travis Kelce. Now we can spread the field much easier than ever before because Demarcus Robinson, once again, speaking of addition by subtraction, was another one of those kind of guys where losing him from the team was actually a plus for this roster. And what's funny to me is like the Raiders situation with adding him to the team now is probably their WR3, WR4 potentially. It's just like one of those things where it's just like a younger brother coming over and, asking if he can, like, for his first time, get with a chick who's like a 2 and, just to boost your confidence. And the truth is he's not going to boost your confidence. He's not going to win you games, but we'll gladly toss you some free meat if it helps get you, your handicapped sibling up to the par of what needs to be happening. So to me, it's like, it's all the Raiders are the ones who probably lost out the most in this offseason, I'd say, even despite the fact they got Davante Adams. And the Chiefs, on the other hand, did a lot of additions other than my one flaw on the roster, which is pass rush. And I have a big problem with that. And I think Frank Clark is a disaster of a player, probably disaster of a human too. George Karlaftis, I need to be convinced a little further, I suppose. Chris Jones, I still love him, but like I just look at this pass rush situation and I don't see anybody else there, which tells me I am dying and begging for the Chiefs to add Robert Quinn, and if that happens, then I am all happy. And this roster and this offseason has been amazing.
Right. I would love to see you guys take Robert Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know why.
We need it. What's your stake, Jason?
No, I agree. I'm all in on Robert Quinn. As far as Frank Clark, I think you're hating on him a little bit too much. I mean,
think so.
I'm sick of his ass on this team.
I do like to carry an Uzi frequently in my spare time, and so I think you might be a little bit racist over there, Mike.
Could you get more than 4.5 sacks? That'd be really nice.
I probably could.
I'll take.
This is actually a nice little analogy by Charles McClain. Mahomes is like Rodgers. I think he lost the only receivers besides Kelsey, who he trusted. And that's kind of a real situation, because if you look at that playoff game that they lost to San Francisco, while Davante Adams was open, that's who he threw to. Everybody else had 39 yards receiving combined.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Chiefs were so one-way oriented between Kelsey and Tyreek. We're in a situation where Pringle was gone as well. And now you have 3, as you stated earlier, WR2s essentially, it seems like. If you include Sky Moore in that list, then I think in that point, you're actually making it to where like you're just throwing to the guy that's open, not worrying about drawing up plays that are going to get a guy that you want to get open. You're just going to be going to the open receiver more often than not, where I think before the Chiefs were doing was designing plays for a certain guy to be available, where now Mahomes, I think, kind of like the Rodgers situation, can now spread the field more equally, and which could actually help even Travis become open more often too. I don't know.
Could help.
Yeah, and also if you look at the last 2 years, which has the 7 games that Davante Adams missed for Green Bay, and as much as Lions fans are going to hate this to hear this, Green Bay was 7-0 without Davante Adams on the field because he spread the ball out more.
Yeah. That's what's hilarious. That's a wonderful stat, and it draws the comparison to what Mahomes has done without Tyreek Hill in his career and the games that Tyreek has missed. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but efficiency-wise, Mahomes has been more efficient in his career without Tyreek Hill in the field. And nothing against Tyreek. It's just now you're playing to, football. You're playing football. You're just drawing up plays and throwing to the open guy, not just designing play for a guy.
I equate it also to the Matthew Staffords once he lost Megatron. If you look, his percentage of completed passes went up in Detroit after Calvin Johnson was on the team, off the team, because he wasn't forced to throw it to him all the time.
Right. So as much of a great thing as it is to have a true elite receiver, and even though Calvin Johnson, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 receivers of all time in his prime, similar to Barry Sanders, just to keep with the same team there at their positional. I think that in a lot of ways you can hinder yourself because you're focused and reliant on a certain guy to make things happen. Where if you just get back to the basics and play football, and then you can actually be a more efficient player in the long run.
Right. And Charles McClain backed up my statement. With Adams, Packers average 31.4 points per game. Without 30 is what they average. There's not much of a difference.
Yeah, nice stat. Let's
be real. If you have the right quarterback, you're not worried about it. Aaron Rodgers is the right quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the right quarterback. They're not worried about it. Yeah. Give them the options. Give them selection. They'll figure it out.
I think there was a game 2 years ago. The Chiefs opened up without Tyreek Hill. Robinson was their WR1. That's right, Demarcus Robinson, who I just talked about, and he threw for 300 yards in the first quarter, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 touchdowns as well. Like it was just absurd. And it was other guys stepping up. Robinson actually made a couple of great catches in that game, which was amazing. But it's just he got out there and just said, well, screw it. Like, we'll make this happen. And, things happen. And Byron Pringle got his first ever 100-yard game on a game without Tyreek Hill on the field because he just was inserted in. You have an elite quarterback, and now he's able to do things he needs to be doing and just play without the worrying of, oh, let's develop a play with this specific, elite receiver in mind. How about just sometimes go play football and throw to the open guy?
Yep, absolutely. Now we're going to get in the NFL news discussion. Baker Mayfield is now a Panther. What do you guys think about that? Actually, a good move for
I think it's a great move for Baker and Carolina. It helps them out in that division alone. I think you're going to see Moore become a more of an option for Baker as well, and you're going to see him actually he had a great couple of years, but I feel like he's going to really come out and play this year. This could also help out McCaffrey staying healthy as well, with Baker being able to throw the ball downfield and not relying on just screens and outs and stuff. So I feel like this is huge for Carolina, and it's huge for Baker Mayfield himself.
I think Cleveland's the big loser, especially after Goodell came out a couple weeks ago saying that with everything Deshaun Watson's going through, he's pushing for a minimum of a 1-year suspension and possible an indefinite suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cleveland's for sure the loser.
I like this a lot just from the standpoint of it's good for, on a personal level, Baker Mayfield, because he was the guy getting screwed in this whole situation to begin with, who did, nothing wrong. It was more so that the team was like, oh, we see a guy out there that has more talent than you. We're going to get him and pay him the most of all time. And in Baker's mind, he's just okay, screw you guys. No, this is some BS. I've been here now for a few years and 4 years. And now to act do that towards him, I think it was out of nowhere. He didn't expect that to happen.
And also think about it. He has gotten the Browns their only playoff win since 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
out of all the quarterbacks.
And I'm not even that big of a Baker fan as far as a player. I think he's fine, and I don't think you're ever going to win a Super Bowl with the guy, but I think that he's better than your Jay Cutlers of the world, which is probably more of in his range of comparisons.
He's better than Sam Darnold.
He's better than Sam Darnold for sure.
I think
he's definitely better than the aging, no longer able to run 200 yards a game Cam Newton.
Absolutely, absolutely,
sure. Or pass the ball.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's great.
And they don't have to start Matt Corral now. They can actually let him develop.
That's true. That is very, very true. I think that if you look at the Browns' schedule, they screwed themselves so hard on this too, because now you got Jacoby Brissett, who actually I don't mind as a player whatsoever. I think he's fine. But if you look at their schedule, dude, these guys were due if they were ever going to win 11 games in a season.
This was the year.
Due to make it happen. And so the year of all years, when they could go out there and actually make an impact on the AFC, they'd completely screw themselves and make all these awful decisions. And if you look at their first 5 games, I mean, the Lions might be 5-0. The Lions actually might play them in the first 5. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's a pretty easy schedule the Browns have in their hands.
It looks really
and now they're going to go into the season with this situation at under fold here, and starting Jacoby Brissett and hoping he stays healthy. And if he doesn't, then you're going to have a 5-win season.
And Charles McLean pipes in and says, "Thank you, Browns. Tired of hearing Baker to Detroit. Now probably going to hear Darnold to Detroit." And Paul DeRose reiterated that statement. Finally, no more dumb rumors about him going to Detroit.
Do you guys think that Jadeveon Clowney feels stupid right now?
Yeah.
Oh, big time. You know he does.
Because
you know what this trade did? This made Sue, who's still a free agent, go, the Cowboys are looking better.
Absolutely. I just remember, so Jadeveon Clowney made a statement, because actually as a Chiefs fan, I wanted him. He said when he was signed back with the Browns, he goes, "I want to go to someone who's going to be a contender."
Yeah, I know. And that's what Sue was saying. And he was interested in the Browns. He has been there twice for interviews, which means they had interest in him too. But he's also been twice to the Cowboys. At this point, I think he goes to the Cowboys.
I mean, sure. I mean, if they give an offer, just take it. Cowboys are an interesting team that finds a way to underachieve every year. But, I wouldn't. I mean, if you're in his shoes, might as well take it.
Yeah.
This is our year, heard by fans across the NFL by 2 teams, and 2 teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl in a long time.
Yep.
The Packers and the Cowboys.
Yeah. Packers.
just saying.
This is far from the Packers year when it comes to any Super Bowl.
And Charles McClain is like, I am hoping Sue to Detroit. I would love to see Sue back in Detroit because Sue has actually went out on an interview before free agency started and said that Dan Campbell was his favorite coach he ever played for.
Wow. Okay. That would be interesting. Is there a fit for him on the roster, you think, in your opinion?
Well, he's a 4-3 guy, and he's now a DT2. We're supposed to be running more 4-man fronts, but still a 3-4 base. If we're running a 4-man front, there's a fit for him because John Penasini, even though was drafted to be a nose tackle in Patricia's system, looked more like a DT2 and was only affected when there was 2 D tackles on the team playing when they did 4-man fronts. I go back to his rookie year in that Panther game when he chased down that quick PJ Fleck from behind.
Yeah.
Because he broke through the line, he chased him out of the pocket and turned around and caught him before he had a 3-yard gain, and he had nobody in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if there's a room for him on the roster, then why not bring him back in? It's not going to hurt anything.
I mean, the fact that he said that in an interview before free agency meant that there might be some type of connection between him and Campbell. That's all I was getting at.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And he's nowhere near as expensive as he would have been after his rookie contract because he's a 60% play guy.
Right, that's the thing. You don't need to play him every down. Bring him in when you need him, and just use him that way. Because I think that's when you get to that age, that's what you want to use him for. Keep him fresh, keep him ready to go and energized, and let him plug in when he needs to be.
Right. And Charles McClain says, Hutch, McNeil, Sue, and Pascal, what would Rodgers think? Don't step on me.
You
remember that game?
Healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't step.
That's the key for Detroit. That's why I have the basement at 6 wins. We have better depth. But if the health train goes off the rails, that's why I have 6 as my basement for the floor for them.
Gotcha.
Because the last 3 years, we've been number 2. We were number 1 year, and we were number 3 the other year in people on the injured reserve list in the NFL in the last 3 years consecutively. Wow. And that's huge. So if we can keep people off the injured reserve list this year, and everything I'm hearing about Okuda from the coaching staff and everything else, and he's ahead of schedule and should be primed to play come training camp here shortly, which is huge because he hasn't had a full season of training, off season even, because last year there wasn't much of an off season. Remember that? It was kind of a weird off season where everything was shortened, and this year it's full off season, and he's been able to be there, even though he's doing individual workouts and everything else. It's got to help actually being able to do that compared to what he had with Patricia when there was no off season, no preseason, and straight into the season, and then gets thrown into wide receiver 1 as a rookie facing elite talent. Yeah. That's why everybody thought he was a bust. But if you actually look at the numbers when it breaks down, yes, he was burned by every elite wide receiver, but when he wasn't playing the 1, he actually didn't have bad numbers. Gotcha. Which was like for 2/3 of 1 quarter until Trufant went down. He didn't have to play the wide receiver, cornerback 1 position.
All right. Well, we'll see how this plays out this year then with a full off season.
Right. That's what that's why I said, because cornerback is actually one of the harder positions to transition in the NFL anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he's only played 11 games. He played 10 under Patricia and 1 under Campbell and Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn. Yeah. Oh. And it wasn't even the full game.
Crappy, right? Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna
makes it look bad on paper, I guess, but but obviously when the film always tells the truth.
Yeah, if you get the right coach though in there with the right plan, so.
As long as Bears stay the way they are this year, the Lions won't be last. The only way I put Bears out of the basement is if Fields is out all year. Oh yeah. Well, there's a nickname among the Lions fans for Justin Fields. It's Bustin' Fields.
Bustin'.
Oh, nice. I'm hoping he ends up okay, just as a football fan, but I don't know. In that team, I just don't see his career going the right way it needs to go. He's going to be one of those guys like every every once in a while you see a good talented player, go to a bad team where his career is over
Geno
when it
Smith.
begins. And well, Gino was
Wait a
one, but
minute.
he was also a little dumber than I realized. So
Yeah,
that was
I mean
part of the
his
problem.
Wonderlic score. There's a reason they used to have that, and that was the be all end all for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But his Wonderlic score wasn't that great.
No, not at all. Gino just made dumb decisions. Like I don't know if you remember this, but he put out a dick pic on the internet, and
Yeah, I remember that.
dumb
But
stuff.
so did Draymond Green. He's a 4-time world champion. So.
And Charles
So-
McLean says, but JB, how many OSU QBs has been successful in the NFL? One in the 1940s. That's it.
That's very true. If you think about
Yeah.
it,
Chandler Jones didn't do anything, so
he was a bust.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah. oh god, Kirk Herbstreit.
I had to go there.
I think he's even a bust as an analyst.
Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There was.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but he had some poor decision making on the field as well.
yeah.
I'm not going to get into his off the field stuff because that's not my forte.
Yeah, it's a good point though. I mean, about the OSU thing, because I can't think of anyone from OSU as a quarterback who's ever been. But yet they've made multiple guys at skill positions become phenomenal athletes and talented players in the NFL.
Just the quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean they were cornerback and wide receiver U for years.
It's kind of like how Alabama's been similar to that too, I guess, in a lot of ways, where they just have these traditional style quarterbacks who've never really panned out, and then
Cardell Jones, Terrell Pryor, who ended up being a better wide receiver / tight end than he was a quarterback.
yeah.
Man.
And
Who's
Paul Giroux
Alabama's
says,
best
I don't
quarterback?
think Fields wanted to be drafted by the Bears. Woo. I don't think he probably did either, because he looked at that O-line and goes, why?
I wouldn't want to do that either, honestly.
Every game out there. Why?
I mean, and the worst thing was, in the preseason or in the off season when they were doing those workouts last year, he goes, the NFL seems like it moves slow to me. I was like, well, look at who you have facing you on defense before you make those statements. That O-line is by far the worst PFF ranked O-line in the league. And it's not by a little, it's by a lot.
This is going to be rough for the Bears. That's a bad team.
It's just bad.
Yeah, and they also have the worst wide receiver room. And as I know from last year, what that looked like for the first 10 games of the season, it was pitiful.
I couldn't believe Pringle went over there to the Bears. I mean, I'm like, well, I guess your career's over then.
Yeah, I mean, he had a little bit of a drop issue while he was with the Chiefs too.
Yeah, he did.
And Fields has a hard ball that has no touch. He is not a touch passer. And I don't see that getting better in Chicago.
Yeah,
Not at
for
all.
him.
I think what you see is what you got with him.
And Charles McLean says, I have said Bryce Young to the Bears with the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft. And that's probably a good estimate at this point, but it's still way too early. You got to see the play on the field.
Yep, I agree.
That being said, is there any NFL news you guys want to talk about?
The main one today, I think, was the Mayfield thing.
I think the Mayfield was the big one. So, yeah, I got nothing here.
All right. That being said, I think this was a successful show. If any of the commenters want to come in and ask a question while we're all here, feel right ahead.
Yeah, give us your best.
Don't make it don't just ask about the Lions, because we have AFC West guys here. I'm going to give them about 3 minutes. If nobody pipes in a question, we'll call it a night.
Sounds good.
So what day does the training camp start for the Lions?
July 23rd is the rookie camp.
Okay.
And then July 28th starts the vets. And then the week after that is the full team.
Nice. And are you going to be going to any training camp events?
I'm going to be trying to get down there, but I know I will be at the home opener at the tailgate with the Blue Crew that's out there at Eastern Market outside of Ford Field, because I'm going to be doing my pregame podcast right from there, and I might even stream the game and do my own commentary from there as well.
No, that'd be fun. We've done a couple live games here on the show as far as where obviously we can't show the footage of the game while we're live, but kind of reactionary to the game, where you could see us sitting together talking about it and so on. Those have been fun to do.
I actually know that you can show the game. You
Oh, yeah?
cannot use the commentary from the game or the commercials. You have to do your own commercials.
Okay.
You can do your own commentary for the games, but you can show the game.
Really?
That would be hard for us, I think.
That'd be. I'm gonna have to wait till I get my new computer for that.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just
I'm using a
watch us,
Chromebook and it
but-
works.
Does it work? Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it'd be something to look into. Then.
Facebook user says, I think the Lions will take last place. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No, the
either.
Bears
Not
are going to
this
take
year.
last place in that division for sure.
Not this year.
I said last year we cleaned out the basement. We left the key under the mat outside the door, and we took all the decorations down for Bears fans.
Well, hey, Lions are just a much more talented team, and at the end of the day, coaching does matter. Talent also matters substantially as well. So the Bears just don't have really either one to prove anything. So
And also, if you look at NFL playing experience in the coaching rooms, Lions are still second best now with 45 years of NFL playing experience.
Oh wow.
Still-
yeah, you're right.
yeah,
And the only reason why we lost 30 years. Facebook user says, don't disagree with me, Uncle Jeremy. This is your favorite nephew, Bryson. I'll agree to disagree with you. And Charles McLean says, I will be in Detroit for the home opener, and I may have to come to Eastern Market. Go right ahead. I'm going to be bringing a splitter so I can add more headphones so people can be on camera with me, because I'm going to do an interview with a couple of the big Lions fans like Crackman. I know Dose will probably be there. Dose of Dion. Mark Oram of Orum's Forum is going to be there. So
Dang.
we got quite a few podcasters that'll be around the area, and I'm going to try to have them on my show.
very nice.
That's
There
awesome.
you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love getting the other podcasters on and picking their brain, because some of them know more than me. And
No, I fully agree with you there. That's what I do with Nick and Let's Talk Sports, and Ryan will have on eventually, stuff like that. So, like, it's just fun to get on.
And if you guys are ever doing an NFC North review, shoot me a link. I'll join you guys and talk some NFC North with you.
We
We
will
will.
be here. So we're doing every week leading up after next week. Every division coming up week by week from Wednesdays on until regular season begins. I don't know when we're doing NFC North
I
yet,
haven't planned
but
that-
you'll be
fully
the
planned.
guy we probably
Yeah,
reach out
because
to.
your show usually ends. We're at Central Time, so your show ends about 9 p.m. Central normally, 9 to 9:30, right? So
Right.
we'd have you on pretty much right after that. So
You could be debating a Packers fan, as a matter of fact, because we also have a Packers fan that we know. So
you got
Nick?
a
that
few.
would be an interesting one.
Yeah,
You got
Nick,
Nick?
I got a
All
few
right.
others, so don't
Well,
worry.
you know, if you want to rank the wide receiver rooms in the NFC North right now, I got it 1 Vikings, 2 Lions, 3 Packers, 4 Bears. That's in my opinion right now,
I
because
agree
there's too many question marks with the Packers. You got Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, and Anthony Lazard, and none of those guys can stay healthy for a full season.
No.
Then you
They're all
got
gonna be
Christian Watson.
sporadic.
They
Yeah.
just rely on Christian Watson to step up, which
Yeah.
he has to.
Yeah, he has to, but I hope he learns how to catch really hard thrown balls.
He will. He'll be okay.
That's all I got to say about it.
No,
Because
we'll definitely have you on. So.
Those 2 years with Trey Lance as the hard throwing QB, he was with the first 2 years he was in college. His drop rate for the average between those 2 years was 18.2%.
That's rough. Yep, that's rough.
And then he gets the guy that doesn't throw it as hard, and he has a 5.7% drop rate, which gave him a 12.7 for his career, which was miles above even the worst wide receiver in the draft ranking.
Oh wow,
Jeez. Yeah,
That's-
that is rough.
that's interesting to know.
Numbers
I'll have
right there.
I'm gonna remember that.
Put it this way, Slade from Alabama, the one that
Yeah.
ran the slowest 40,
Yeah.
he was 5% less on drop rate than Christian Watson.
Well, I guess he was slowing down time with that shitty 40 he had
Right.
to catch
Well,
the ball.
Yeah, his shitty 40 was exactly the same as Cooper Kupp's.
Oh, it was in Cup ran somewhere in the like a 4.6.
A 4.62.
4.62, yeah.
and he ran a 4.65.
Yeah. And Watson ran like a 4.36, I think.
Yeah, he ran a 4.36 official, but when it was clocked to begin with, it was 4.28.
Yeah, I remember. Those unofficial times looked insane this year. Yeah, I knew there was something wrong with the board whenever I started seeing all the early 4.2s that were on the board there.
Yep. That being said, I think we're going to call it a night.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in to Kneecap Biting with Smokin' Jeremy B. Thank you to the Sports Buffoons for joining me on my show. And whenever you're ready, send me that link. And send me the link so I can subscribe to your podcast as well, Tanner.
Yeah, definitely. I'll shoot you a message here with it. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Have a great day and go Lions. One pride.
All right, thanks, man.